Hey everybody! So the Neopets team has so graciously gifted me with these new plushies in honor of the holidays. So let's take a look. Okay, so here is the spread of new plushies. We've got 4 keychains again and a Faerie Draik. And the size is comparable to the plushies of the past. I'll bring those out in a moment, but let's go ahead and take a look at some of these. We've got Rainbow Slorg. Oh, and they have little codes too that you can enter. Here we have the Island Kadoatie. Very cute. Next up is Snowbunny, and this time it's a Plushie Snowbunny. Plush Snowbunny. Plushie Snowbunny plushie. And here we have the Royal Meepit, which is one of the few that's wearing like its own clothes and accessories. And for the main event, our grumpy little Faerie Draik. I think they picked his like the one pose where he's like, I do have a Faerie Draik myself. His name is Zaruma. I'm going to compare him to some of my fairy plush so you can see what some of the differences are between the classic fairy plushies and the new Faerie Draik. Okay, so I have at least 4 other fairy plush that we can compare that are of comparable size. We have the classic Fairy Kugra. We have the Fairy Akera. I'm a really big fan of the Fairy Ixie. And of course, the lovable Fairy Snowbunny. Let's start with the classic. The Kugra. This is a pretty old school plushie. This was before they went to that sort of like minky fur that's really soft and luxurious feeling. So this is the older material and the stripes were screen printed on, it looks like. And his wings are opaque because I always imagine them being like kind of fluffy, feathery wings. So overall, they're both really great plushies, great quality, just very different. This one obviously has more modern techniques and materials going on. Definitely, I don't know if this is my fault because I've had this guy for so long, but his back wing is like barely holding on over here. The Faerie Draik definitely has like a more solid construction on the wings. The Fairy Akera, so nice and bright. I think there is like a wire material in here as well, but it's not very consistent. It's all like at the bottom here, and then there's nothing up here. So it makes it pretty hard to pose the wings. The wings are a little more securely stitched in, just like the Faerie Draik, but the difference is it does have this organza layer over top that gives it a sort of shimmery, translucent-ish effect. So, I mean, some light does pass through it, but it's not a true translucent. Quality on these is pretty comparable. The Draik has a lot more details going on. Personally, I think they kind of nailed it for the most part. It definitely looks like it could have been from the same era. The Fairy Ixie, which also has the layered organza over the wings to give it a faux translucent effect. Same with the Akera. I think these are pretty on par with each other. And you can see even the Ixie wings are a little funky. I know it's really hard to do these corners, like these concave corners on anything in sewing. So they're pulling a little bit because they're not clipped quite enough. As complex as the Draik wings are, I think they did a really good job with the shape compared to the Fairy Ixie, which again, I love very much, of course. It's just, it does lay a little bit weird, almost like an empty glove. And then lastly is my Snowbunny, which also has the organza layered wings. So again, that's like pretty much the only difference between the old school and the new school. This one doesn't have the Neopets logo, but it does have the 3 little stars, very classic of Neopets, to their logo. Some of them just have like where it says Neopets here. So same with these guys, Neopets and Neopets on the foot. If I took all the tags off of the Faerie Draik, there is nothing on it that would be embroidered to say Neopets, so just got the 3 stars. They honestly make a great set still. So if you're a collector of fairy plushies like I am, you'll definitely want your Faerie Draik in the lineup. And his little attitude honestly makes him stand out a little more. So there's a lot going on. I wasn't kidding when I said I was a big collector of Neopets, so this is like still just a fraction of what I have. As you can see, they're all pretty comparable size for the Petpet plushies that we had before, which were not keychains. The Kadoatie is a little bit bigger. But there are some differences, of course, so I'm gonna go through those real quick. Okay, you got the Snowbunny here. This guy's like a little bit wider in the back. The tail is more poof than floof, if that makes any sense at all. But maybe that's because he's a plushie, so that kind of makes sense. And of course, the Neopets logos are different. We've got the 3 stars here. Eyes, eyebrows, and mouth are all still embroidered Let's compare him to some other plushies. So we have our miniature Neopet keychains here, which also have incredible detail. The little stitching is all embroidered everywhere, including the little patches like on the back here. Even the stripes in the tail, they're actually sewn in different materials, same with the paws. That said, I think the Snow Bunny looks better. Quality-wise, it's a little more simplistic, but the Kugra it almost just has so much going on that it looks a little like messier, but still very endearing, of course. Now let's compare it to our Shoiru, which does have some printed fabric here. Most of its details are also sewn in or embroidered into the material. Depending on what kind of plushie collector you are, you might steer towards like the ones that have a little bit more stitching and sewing going on. But let's not forget, some of our classic plushies did have printing as well. It doesn't feel like it was screen printed. It feels like somehow they use like little sublimation stamps. I don't know if that's a thing. So I'm gonna set Snow Bunny aside and let's look at some of the other ones. All right, Slorg. This one's a fun one and kind of interesting because there is some differences going on. This guy's a little bit shorter in the tail. There's no back eyelids, which is a little bit different. I'm not sure canonically what the back of a Slorg's eyelid is like. Like maybe this guy's like half blinking actually. And the eyes are a very different scale. These are much larger. They look like little marshmallows. This Slorg did have its spots printed into the material and then sewn. The eyes were like an applique with satin stitch around, whereas these eyes are entirely embroidered with the little shiny and then the pupil. This mouth was embroidered on, whereas this mouth was kind of sewn in with felt. Now overall, they're about the same size. I'd say the plushies maybe a little bit bigger. I used to have a blue Slorg. Not sure where that guy went. I'm gonna compare it to some of the older rainbow plush as well. But as you can see, the Poogle here had all of its details stitched on. So there was honestly like nothing printed onto this one. Everything was embroidered or sewn in. Same with the rainbow Aisha. It was all layered, different colors. So not printed on. The colors are each sewn in different panels. And same for the Jub Jub. All right, I'm gonna set this Slorg aside. We're going to compare the Kadoaties now. The keychain is actually bigger than the original plush, which were pretty small, and all of them have no skill in sitting up. His poor little head is just so big. Their tails are separated on the original plush, and this little guy's tail is stitched to the front, so that's a little bit different. The eyes are all still embroidered, but these little spots up here were embroidered as well, whereas on here is printed. Same for here, it's like an applique embroidery combination with like satin stitching around the edge here and then embroidery for the rest of the details. This is probably like the most exotic, pun not intended, but kind of, exotic colors of Petpets. Most of them have been solid colors like this. So before I put this guy away, I'm going to compare him to my only two island plush, one of which is here. It's the Island Kachik. The Island Kachik had its details sewn in, but he doesn't have as much like little white stripes going on. But if we take a look at the Island Uni, which is one of the newer plushies from back in the day, honestly, I think the details were screen printed on because it has like a slightly different feeling. It doesn't feel like sublimation. So obviously they did something similar here, but instead of screen printing the stripes onto the pattern and then sewing it, it was sublimation printed. He looks very at home with our other island friends. All right, I'm gonna set these aside and we'll go over one last plush. All right, I know this is the one we've all been waiting for, Royal Meepit. And we're gonna compare him to our original Meepit here. The original Meepit is bigger, so it's kind of the opposite situation of the Kadoatie. They both have their little like bunny-ish tails in the back. The new one looks much happier and a little bit less creepy. So depending on what you like in your Meepit, if you like that creepy, like soulless staring, the original will be the one that you want. But if you want something a little more cheerful, then this guy, definitely get this one. The original Meepit had its teeth as a little piece of felt sticking out here, whereas on here it is embroidered. Overall, I think this one has like the cuter silhouette. It's just like a little hamster, just so cute and adorable and round. but in terms of just like cheerful brightness, this one is very cute. And it is much brighter pink than this one, but again, in my opinion, I think that really works for all of his colorful accessories. And he does have the stars embroidered on his butt if you lift up his cape. So the Drake is very well constructed in my opinion. I know people were kind of curious to see how that would turn out. Overall, I've actually fallen in love with the little guy. Like, he's so cute. And if you know me, my house upstairs is all like pink and mint themed and very pastel, so this guy is gonna fit right in with all my decor. So there you have it, a comparison of the 2021 plush lineup compared to the classic plushies. If you are a collector of any Neopets plush, definitely recommend this set. It is honestly on par with the other plushies of the past. They're all super bright and colorful, really cute. The quality and craftsmanship is there. And I am so happy to see Neopet Plushies make a return. Like, you guys have no idea. I never thought I would see Neopet Plushies being sold again. So this just like made my entire like holiday this December. Once again, you can get all of these guys in the Neopets shop. Oh, and if you want, check out my description to add me as a Neofriend. That's all for now. If there are new plushies coming out in the future, hopefully I'll get a chance to review them for you also. In the meantime, here they are. So beautiful and gorgeous. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.